Hello, Sovereign Life team, and welcome to the first call of October. It's a new month. That means we got new goals, and we are going to go out and achieve them. First, I want to start by congratulating our newest executive on our team, RJ. Congratulations. It's awesome. RJ went executive in the month of September, and it's really thanks to his amazing team. One of his team members right here is Kat, and Kat has been awesome. Showing up to the calls, introducing people. Kat had an amazing pack call this month where, she introduced a bunch of people to Niken, and we had one person join our team. Her name's Alyssa. She's awesome as well. And also shout out to Deborah and Solon, who are other members on RJ's team. We're so happy to have you, and next up will be you guys. So we're very excited that RJ's kind of leading that charge for you. And yeah, we have some great examples to follow. Where you guys good?
I want to recognize Alicia last month because similar to what you were just saying, Soap, Kat had an incredible Power ABC. Alicia had, a number of people that she introduced to Niken, having created those contacts, those conversations, and really bringing people into the process. So it's great to see kind of those results show up, and people moving along and moving forward in the process, and also getting the experience that they need to start to get more comfortable with how this business works. So yeah, congrats Alicia for putting in that work. Big month this month.
We also had such a great event on Saturday. Let's talk about it.
So do you have your board with you?
Pardon?
Do you have your board with you?
Let me go grab it. Okay, you guys do the rundown. Tell them a little bit about what we talked about, and our kind of thought process. I'll be right back.
Okay, so this past Saturday, which was, I believe, October 2nd, was the first ever time that our Sovereign Life team gathered and met in person. And so we had Sophia and why am I forgetting the name of the Isabel. Yes, sorry. Sophia and Isabel both come to my uncle's house. We had set everything up so that we could start to create our vision boards. But that was prompted by a really important conversation that my uncle shared with us, where we started to talk about the importance of vision, and starting with by having our vision and creating this board through this exercise is so necessary for us to start to tap into, the state of being of the individual that essentially has that vision in reality.
Okay, unmute yourself.
Unmute yourself, so there's a lot of noise. But the kind of behaviors that individual employs, the kind of thought processes and thinking and mentality that they have, and really working backwards, starting with the vision. Ultimately, my uncle took us through an entire, I would say, lesson on how, from the moment in which we come into this world, a lot of our thought processes and decisions are dictated by the structure that's existed before us. And we don't actually realize that following that structure and acting in accordance with that without thinking about, vision or purpose starts to lead us so far off course from what it is that we actually want in this life. And so with that, we started with the end in mind. And that's kind of how our vision board practice and our life cycle exercise came to be. We started to get excited. Everyone was sharing, some of their wildest dreams, where they see themselves a year from now, 3 years from now. And I think it was just an incredible way to even get to connect further with everyone on the team. So yeah, show us yours, Soap. You can unmute yourself now.
My dad's still being pretty noisy in the back. But I will explain a little bit of my vision board, even though it's backwards. So it's kind of hard to see, but okay. So you kind of have to look at it like a circle, because I kind of put it in like an order. So this is me. This is meant to be representative of like my highest self in the middle. And at the top I put golden age, the words golden age, and a waterfall pouring into me. And I have like the dragon here and Kuan Yin for good energy coming in and charging me up, connected to source. You got some good luck. And yeah, it's basically living life like it's golden. That's what it says there.
I love that.
So up at the top here, I have like all these photos that really look like the jungle of Costa Rica, because that's where I plan to go. It has, this underwater photo because I really want to free dive with animals. Girl like just living in paradise. This like looks really similar to what I see in my mind when I see myself waking up and having a pool and the ocean in the back. I have the map of South America because I want to travel all the way down South America, and I have like pictures of people like volunteering with kids, teaching yoga. And then I have this photo here of like all these people kind of like jumping off, and it says on the bottom, I feel I belong. And to me, that photo represented like community, just feeling like you belong with the people that you surround yourself with. And then I have all these treks that I want to do because I'm really big on like going on adventures and like seeing history and just like being like in the middle of the mountains for like days at a time basically. So I have like the Lost City of Colombia. I have the Inca Trail in Peru. It says world's greatest hikes here. And then I have a whole corner dedicated to Nepal because that's another place that I want to go and I want to volunteer there. So I have like photos of Nepal, Annapurna trek, circuit trek, the Everest base camp trek. These are famous treks in Nepal that I want to do. And then this whole top corner is like, once I'm done my nomad explorer phase of life and I want to like be more settled down, it says experience ultimate freedom. There's a yacht, home see home. This girl's like just big muse energy. Emeralds, I have a thing for emeralds. There's like a guy jumping off a yacht. And yeah, and then like the family sitting all together here. So yeah, that's pretty much my vision board. I love it because it has things on it that I've actually been thinking about every single day. Like it's not just generic photos of things that inspire me. It's actual goals that I've already set for myself that I like, that this is like what I see in my mind represented like on a picture. So it's really great.
Yeah, that's incredible. I love how specific it is. And we were talking about this even on Saturday. We find that, you can iterate this many times, like a couple of months, but it's like the more you ask yourself the question of what that looks like for yourself, what that vision looks like, why you want it, I think the more refined the vision becomes. So it's interesting.
Yeah, like the first vision board I made was not like that. It's actually at the condo, Savannah. You could go and grab it, but it's just more generic. Like it was just photos that I liked, that I thought were cool, where I would like, oh yeah, I would like to like do that one day, have that. But this one I kind of chose like, it's mainly dominated by like my short-term goals, by like my few months out to 3 years out goals.
Yeah.
And then there's a little section for like a little bit longer term. And I think that's important because all your dreams are connected, right? So once like one achieves, you're already on the way to the next one. So to have like really short-term goals on there instead of just like having big, broad picture, no timeline kind of things, I think makes a big difference. But of course, that means you have to like have thought about what are my short-term goals? Where do I want to be in 3 months, in 6 months, in 1 year, in 3 years, and so on and so forth.
I think if you come to the event, I would highly recommend coming or creating your own vision board just because, well, like when we were doing it, I found myself getting emotional. And like emotion is actually what drives manifestation, what drives your goals to actually becoming a reality. And so it's great to like start visualizing and dreaming. But I think having the process of you actually doing it gives you that emotion. And there's science behind it. So yeah, definitely do that. Someone's making a lot of noise.
Yeah, it's Papa. He's making a lot of noise, making his salad.
Yeah, I can see you have kind of like a vision board in the back there.
This is actually like Siva and I, so my husband and I's. Mine is in my office, but it's like ice cold in there, so I'm in his office for right now. But it says debt free, and then we have like different currencies from around the world, and then there's like smaller images, like a check that I wrote myself for $100,000, There's Bora Bora. That's where I want to celebrate my 23rd birthday. That is like my dream place. We have, some of our dream dogs, flights. We have like Bitcoin, like cryptocurrencies and so forth. And then his specifically is more like what you were talking about, Sophia, like smaller goals and so forth. So on this one, we wrote down when we want to be debt free by. So student loans, our mortgage, everything like that. We have a specific date and we both signed it. And that's what we're working towards in order for us to get to this stuff. So we have like our island that we want to have in 5 years. There's how many children we want, the countries we want to go to and all that kind of stuff. So, and then in mine, there's more specific goals that attain to me, but I'll send a picture and I'll drop it in the WhatsApp chat.
I like how organized you guys.
But and you guys know, like, Kat is one of the most dedicated, hardworking people I've ever met. Like, she actually holds herself accountable to everything she says she's gonna do. You tell us a little bit about, like, I don't know, just like your drive, because I feel like since you have such a clear vision, that's what gives you the motivation to do the things that are uncomfortable. And to just stay focused every single day and like get it done. Like, you're checking off your to-do list every single day, you know?
I mean, like for me, my parents like are immigrants. So, but I was born and raised here. But I find it really funny how like parents, whether it's like our parents or the parents of their parents, our grandparents and so forth, they come to North America, the country that we call the land of the free, the country that we call opportunities. And, we're born here, but majority of us do not take the opportunities that are here. You know what I mean? We literally just follow the same footsteps as our parents. And I realized from a super young age that, my grandma came here to give my dad a better life. My dad did what he could to give me a better life. And, my son is going to be here in 2 months. And I got to do what I got to do to give him an even better life. So it's really just continuing that tree of life, the tree of the family, and making it even better, and breaking generational curses. But it's beyond just money and so forth. It's really your mindset, our DNA, everything that's embedded in our DNA and all that kind of stuff, our thought pattern, the way that we eat, the way that we think, the way that we feel and so forth. So it's a huge picture, but it's really just doing better than what we were doing than yesterday. All we can do is compare to the generation before us and who we were yesterday too, in order for us to just keep improving and so forth. But my drive is really just family and really just changing the way that the world is right now. Because we could talk so much stuff about how the world is, but it really just starts with us and just us being motivated, inspired by ourselves, and then that inspiration will just bridge into our families and into the world and so forth.
I love that.
What do you say to yourself when you have like, I don't know, like you have like a lazy day, or there's just a day where you just like don't feel like doing the things that you have to do?
Those days, let me tell you, it comes a lot around when you're pregnant. There's so many different things that happen to you and so forth. And a lot of people told me, especially, take time for yourself. It's okay to like, have a few days off and whatnot. But the biggest thing that I realized was that when I feel lazy and when I don't do what I want to do, at the end of the day, I regret it. And I'm somebody who really overthinks. Well, I used to really overthink. And what happens when you overthink? You start to create that one thought will start to create that feeling in your body, and then you'll start to feel sick and upset and so forth. And that just goes into the next day. And what I really just do is I just really look in my room, like the whole house. This is why our room looks like this. We cannot look in a corner and not get up and do something. We cannot like be in this environment and not feel some type of way if we're not checking off our to-do list at the end of the day, or at least doing our daily habits. There's things that pop up. There's days where you will feel off. There's days that you won't want to do things, but at least doing the daily habits that you got to do, because 95% of who we are just rewired thoughts, habits, and beliefs and so forth, and specifically habits. just really just doing those habits, I will feel accomplished. Maybe even if it's like more stuff that I wanted to do, but as long as I know I did the things that I was supposed to do, I'm good. I'm happy. But it's really my environment. And then it's really cool having a partner who's in the same business as you, has the same drive as you, has the same goals as you, and friends like you guys. You know what I mean? You can't look at your phone and not see a message from Sovereign Life that tells you, okay, I gotta up and do something. Or, if you really look at your Instagram too, your Instagram feed tells you what you think about. It really
True.
tells you what you are working towards, right?
Yeah.
So my Instagram feed is really just like motivation, manifestation, cars, houses, right? So it's really what you're putting out there is what you're going to get, but really it's my environment and the people that are around me.
Yeah.
Oh, I
True
really
that.
admire your mindset, Kat. I think you may not even realize it, but you're describing like what I actually learned in psychology. And it's that you want to, like, one of the tips they say is do not do things based on your mood, do them based on what you plan. Because a lot of the time our moods change. However, our moods can change super quickly. And that also means that if you take 5 minutes and work on the task that you were supposed to, you will likely just continue working on it because you'll get out of this lazy mood or something that you thought, and that actually makes you feel better as a whole because you're more productive and you feel like you can check something off, and then you have more time to do the things that you also enjoy. And I just find it really, like, I really admire that about you, that you kind of have that motivation in you, or that like determination in you, because that's something that I have to consciously like correct in myself because I don't really like to do stuff when I'm not in the mood for it. And that's something that I've learned that's not okay, especially if you want to succeed in something. But it's not that easy when you're not programmed to do it like that. So that's really great on you.
Thank you. The biggest thing that I've learned too is that to do things you don't want to do, tell yourself you love to do it. Like for me, I used to hate making reels and like talking on my, like, I was not that person. You would never, before I started network marketing and business, I had one post. That was it. One post. And then what you really got to tell yourself is that I love making reels. I love, reaching out to people. I love, contacting and inviting. It's really just like lying to yourself, but then eventually become the truth eventually and whatnot. And it's just falling in love with the process. But yeah, I appreciate you, girl.
That right there is so true, man. Because I even realized it myself. I realized before, because I started really analyzing when I would say something and then not follow through on it, like what was going on in my mind. And it'd always be like, okay, I made a decision to do it. Then the time would come close to having to do it. And I'd be like, I'd always have the thought first. I don't really feel like it. Maybe tomorrow, or maybe I'll just whatever. We come up with a million different excuses, but I started to notice the thought always comes before the action. So what if when I had the thought, I don't feel like doing it today, I actually stopped right there and I was like, no, I'm so excited to do it today. I'm doing it right now. Like, you actually realize you can choose the thoughts that you think in every moment, and you could stop those thoughts in their tracks. That thought that says, I don't want to make that real, or I'm too tired, I'm too lazy, and be like, no, I have all the energy in the world to do this right now. I'm so excited to do it. It's self-talk is like the number one most important thing. And I'm really glad that you touched on that point, because your mind will give up before your body ever does, So if you make the decision in your mind that you're going to say the right things to yourself, then you will instruct your body on what to do next. So, yeah, it's important. So what have we covered at this point? We have like the right environment, the right people around you, seeing your goals every day in front of you, so then you're reminded, hey, if you don't do something today, you're missing out on time that you could be working towards this. which is something, make sure it's something you really, really want too. It has to be something you have a strong desire for, or else it's not going to motivate you. It has to outweigh the things that you're trying to avoid, you know? So ask yourself, and most people, you'd be surprised when you ask people the question of, if money was no object, what would you do in your life? Most people don't have a clear answer to that question. Sorry about the noise. Elena, I know you were kind of in a similar predicament, so what would you say to people who don't really know what they want?
Yeah, I mean, I think you kind of need to start like somewhere, even if it's something as simple as just seeing like the waterfront of the ocean. And that's kind of just something that I always like started with in terms of when I used to think about, okay, where do I want to be 3 years from now? Where do I want to be a year from now? Trying to tune into the things that I really want to experience, you know, kind of those intuitive desires. And I remember when I used to like ask myself this question, I used to get frustrated sometimes because I'd go into a meditation, maybe we'd be doing a group meditation, and you know, we're being asked to call forward the individual that we want to be a year from now, the experience we want to be in, to sit in that energy, sit in that frequency. And every time I try to like collect a vision for myself, it was so difficult for me to get past just one point. And it was a very simple vision of me just sitting like by the, I guess like the dock of my room, or something that kind of just like an extension of my room, like kind of like a balcony, and all I could see is the ocean. And I would just be sitting there. And I would always get stuck in that until I started to realize the simplicity of what it is that I was looking for and the desire, and just starting to use that as a guide to build further on my vision from there. So I think the more you ask yourself the question of what it is that you want, maybe it starts off a little bit generic, maybe it starts off a little bit broad, but as you dig deeper and you keep asking why, I think you start to refine what that vision looks like for yourself, until you can start to get, you know, specific. And even maybe shorten your timeline a bit, like what Sophia did with her vision board. You know, her vision board, her first iteration of it was incredibly broad. It was incredibly generic. It was ideas of things that she knew she would want to do and experience at some moment in her life. And that's kind of what started her. But then again, coming back to that a few months later, you ask yourself the question again, you've experienced so many things up until that point. I think you start to get a little bit more clear on what you want to be experiencing, especially in the near term. So
To add to what you just said, I feel like another point I would make, it might be a little unconventional, but spend time alone. I feel like when you spend time alone, you start to understand yourself more. And you don't have other people's ideas and their own goals in your head. You start to figure out what you want rather than what someone else wants, and going off of what they want because that's what, oh yeah, that looks desirable. But you know, sometimes we confuse it. And so like even just things like going for a walk, going to the lake, like spend time with yourself, be in nature. I feel like that's when I start to understand myself the best. And that's when I start to understand what I want. Because I remember like 2 years ago, was it 3 years ago now, Soph, that we went to Bob Proctor?
Yeah, it was 2018. So yeah, 3 years ago.
2 years ago. I remember he asked us, like, we were talking about manifestation, law of attraction. He asked us, what do you want? And I remember actually feeling so lost and like frustrated with the fact that I had no idea what I wanted. And that was such a scary thing. Like, how do I not know what I want? I spent 18 years of my life not knowing what I wanted. And it was that, asking myself that question, it didn't come right away. For me, what actually it was being alone. And like a big part of that was going to Australia and traveling by myself because I had to make decisions on my own. And I'm someone that can be very malleable with my environment. So, you know, when I'm around people a lot, I tend to confuse what I want with what they want. And if you're like that, then yeah, like you don't have to go travel somewhere to experience that. You can do that within your own spaces. But that's what I mean by kind of getting to know yourself by yourself.
I also think something that kind of helped guide me in the beginning when I wasn't clear on what I wanted actually looked like, was I started to tune in and tap into the feeling. So a year from now, how do I want to feel? What are the kind of experience, or how do I want to feel from the experiences that I have, the relationships that I hold, the individual that I'm becoming? So what does it feel like to be that person? You know, what are the qualities of that before I could get some clarity on maybe what that might look like? Because I don't think the feeling's ever going to change. The physicality of it and the tangible details, those can change. And that's okay. But I think for the most part, it's how you feel in those moments, how you want to feel a year from now, how you want to feel now. That's pretty solid. That's pretty foundational for the most part.
I also just wanted to add something to that thought that just came to mind for me is that a lot of it involves letting go of old things as well. Like it's not all just going to be coming in and you're not going to be adding things all the time. Sometimes I think that I've been going through this phase the last few weeks. It's a lot of saying goodbye to old things that don't serve me anymore. And that can be hard. It can be emotional, but I think that that is just as much a part of the process of growth and of movement into the future, that it's important to be grateful for that too, because that's kind of, by letting go of things, you're making space for the next version of yourself to fill, and you can occupy that as it's in front of you. And I think that it's all an emotional process. I like too that you guys have been talking about having that emotional thought first, saying I like this or I love this, and then letting things form around that, because we are emotional beings as much as we sometimes our society tells us we're not. I think it's important to acknowledge that and let it be incorporated.
Definitely.
I like that.
Yeah. I love that. I think this conversation that we've been having, is a good segue into some journal work, kind of an exercise that I feel like is so important for us all to have. When you choose to step into this business, when you choose to partner with Nikan, when you choose to join the Sovereign Life team and build a team of your own, we've been talking a lot about this conversation of why we're doing the things that we're doing, why this is important to you. I think it's necessary for us to really hone in on that, and to hone in on the emotional motivation behind building a business, building this business in particular. And so this was actually an exercise that was presented in the call that my uncle had last Monday with Richard Blissbrook. The question that was asked to him, was posed to him, was how would you suggest and recommend somebody get started? This is their first time being introduced to Nikan. This is their first time, starting a business as a network marketer. What should their first steps be? And believe it or not, what he suggested was actually something that myself, Sophie, and Savannah did when we first got started in our first month of doing this. It was just an idea that we had when we were trying to flush out, what we really wanted to create here and why. And so I want us to kind of, pull out a pen and paper. And the first question that I want you guys to write down, and myself included, is what do you want out of Nikan? What are your expectations? What is your motive for building a team? And as you do that, you can think, long term in terms of what the greater vision is, but also try to get a little bit specific in terms of what you would even expect 1 year from now. Okay. We'll do that for about 1 more minute and then come back to maybe share. Okay. So before we move forward, does anyone want to share what some of their expectations are? Maybe like one or two.
Yeah, I can.
Okay.
I'm actually comparing mine to when I first did it and now. And
I know.
they're slightly different. They're more specific. But one of them was to, like, I want to converse with like-minded individuals. And that's why I want a team. I want to build a team. And I want these individuals to help me impact, like, honestly, one of my like individual goals is schools. I want to impact schools and children. And you never know where building a team could lead you in terms of that big goal over there. And what would be great is to bring that Nikan philosophy into the schools.
Mhm.
So that's one thing for me. Financial freedom, being able to travel, making an income wherever I go, support the lifestyle that I want. To be a leader, show myself that I'm capable, to say that I did it. Growth as a human being more.
Mhm.
And get to create a clean environment, show people the importance of the technology and why and how it like impacts their quality of life.
I like that.
Yeah.
Who's next?
I can share. Mine were like almost spot on the same as Sav's.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome.
Which is not surprising because we're pretty in tune usually. But my first one was to have a community that challenges and inspires me, um,
Like
that bring new and vulnerable conversations of growth and reality to the table. And like by elevating myself, I'm elevating those around me. And, it's just like a constant, like an upward spiral from there. And, people say, I don't know, they say you become the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time around. So really being conscious about how community is affecting my engagement with the world. And then I want to always be learning, and taking in new information and evolving. And I think Nikan provides an ever evolving, changing environment to like always be engaging with new ideas, whether that be like the products or the people or the business philosophies. And then I also said financial independence and freedom, and to know that I can count on myself, like you said, Sav, that I can choose to make something happen and that it will come to fruition from that choice. And then also to help people in their own journey on well-being and evolution of their, I guess, their human journey.
Mm-hmm. Great. Love
Yeah, you guys were exactly the same.
Yeah.
I
We're
was
all
like, well,
full sister.
it's true.
Mine were
Seriously.
very similar as well. So I wrote a business I can take with me anywhere, because that's really important to me. As you guys can see, I want to move around a lot in my life. I think there's just too much to see to live in one place your whole life. Becoming a multimillionaire and co-creating the world's most influential wellness community. That's kind of big picture, but I wrote under that attracting my soul tribe. I think that's something, you know, you both said that first, but that's something that's really important to me is like feeling like you belong where you are, that feeling of belonging, that feeling of like having all these like-minded individuals who are on the same page as you, who are co-creating something together, like we're building this together. We actually like feel like a team. I think that's, I don't know, I think everyone wants to feel that, you know? It's one thing to do something by yourself, but everything big doesn't happen on our own. Anything that's going to be global scale, world changing, isn't going to happen by ourselves. And if we want to be part of something that changes the world, which I think a lot of us do, it's going to require us to all get on the same page and to work together and to all contribute to the team, you know? That's really what makes a team is that everyone is contributing. And they're committed. I wrote being able to go where I want, when I want, and stay for as long as I want. Work that feels like play. And more time for my passions. So basically a business where that frees up my time so that I can, you know, do my free diving course if I want to and be a free diver and go and hike and do the trails and you know, work on the school that me, Sven, and Elena were all really passionate about. And I know several people on our team feel the same way. Maybe that could be something we all work on together as well, you know. Maybe that's what this is all for. We have to have some sort of grand vision that we're collectively working towards. So yeah, that's what I wrote.
Yeah, mine were so similar. Very much along the same lines of all of what you guys were saying, essentially. So in a nutshell, for me, like you said, so this is a vehicle for me to be able to pursue other interests and passions that I have in this life. So, you know, the same way that you want to do free diving, I want to invest in real estate, and I want to flip homes, and you know, these things that really can just simply be a hobby, also potentially another way to generate a source of income. But we're such multidimensional beings, and to think that we have just one track to follow our entire lives, I think it's kind of sad that most people live that reality. So I absolutely want the freedom to be able to act on my own heart's desires when I want, how I want. You know, the second one to that would be travel. So the time freedom and the location freedom to work from anywhere in the world. And like you said, so if I wrote, I want to go where I want, when I want, how I want, and to stay for as long as I want. So, you know, this gives me the opportunity to build something that will allow me that time freedom and location freedom. I'll also mention that I want to build the co-creation of a movement and community of wellness entrepreneurs. So individuals that are really embracing, you know, Niken's philosophy around active wellness, but also this idea of sovereignty and financial freedom and independence. And along those lines, to be able to connect with and be inspired by like-minded and like-hearted souls, soul tribe. As well as that, I want the opportunity for personal development. So I think to become a leader and to guide, to enrich the lives of others the same way that many other leaders and individuals may be enriching my own life. I said to work less and make more, never work a day in my life, just be and be joyful. So yeah, I think very much along the same lines as, everything that everyone was saying. I was writing things down as you guys mentioned specifics as well, but it's very nice to hear that we all hold a very similar vision and expectations from why we're doing this. You're muted, so
I said I'd love to hear from you, Kat.
yeah.
I think we all have the same thing, but the things that were different. I also have, as Elena said, co-creating a culture of continuous growth, high vibration, and expanding consciousness. Expanding my skills, especially communication and relationship building, and my knowledge. Expanding my financial confidence and building multiple streams. Growing 1% better every day. Building a wellness home for my family. And I know, Sophia, your goal is to have 100,000 people impacted. So I wrote that down as well. And connecting with multiple leaders, not just in Sovereign Life, but like Nikan in general, and then just in entrepreneurship as well.
Awesome.
That's awesome. I love that you talked about expanding consciousness because I really think that's the grander purpose behind what we're doing. The vision is like what it looks like, but the real reason why we're doing it is because we want to evolve as beings. We want to expand in every way that we can. And, expand in our well-being, in our mindset, in our finances, in our contribution to society. And so that's really our drive here. And it's great to see that we all want the same things. We all have the same expectations with this. And like, what would it mean for you guys to have that?
Yeah.
What would it mean to you?
Yeah. So just to expand on that a little bit further, and even for the sake of time, maybe just pick 2 things that are on your list right now. I would suggest picking the 2 most immediate things and ask yourself the question of why this is important to you. On a scale of 1 to 10, how important is this to you that you change your life in this way? What does it feel like to be the individual who is experiencing this reality, who's accomplished everything you're setting up to accomplish? There's like big picture stuff on here, but if we're doing more like immediate, I have written down my monthly income goal by mid-January, which is when I plan to leave for my travels. So for me to have that is everything to me because it means that I'm able to live the way that I want to live right now and that I don't have to wait. And it means that I do have a business that I can take with me anywhere, which gives me the freedom, to explore the world, which I think everyone at our age really wants to do, and to be an example for others, to show them what's possible, with Nikan. I think that would be the most meaningful thing, because we all need someone to give us the idea that we can do it too. We all need an inspiration. And I know that the faster one of us becomes the example for our team, the faster we're going to have way more people on our team get to that spot as well, because they're going to see for themselves that they can do it. So that's like the most meaningful thing, is being able to be an example for others. Yeah, definitely. Even along the lines of, if you guys are thinking monthly income goals that you set for yourself over the next few months to a year from now, what are you going to do with that money? Why is it so important to you that you're making this amount monthly? Where's that money being allocated towards? Is it paying off expenses? Is it paying off debt? How does it feel to have that debt, have those expenses paid down? Tap into, I would say the drive, the motivation behind why you need that extra money and what it will be used for. So Soph said for her travels, it's incredibly important to her. So
Kat, what would it mean for you to have your debt paid off?
For me, it would mean I would be able to spend less time working on multiple sources of income, let that passively go. And that would also be something I'd be able to scratch off to get to my next goal, which is to retire my dad by next year, October. I know they say don't put a date by it, but I have that date to kind of push me a little bit harder, but it would mean the world to me to retire him. And if he chooses to continue to work for his pleasure, by all means. But I want to be able to send him, check of $5,000 every month and be like, you're good, dad. Go do what you want to do. Like that would just, I'd be the happiest girl in the world.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's that makes you push through those lazy days or those things that you don't want to do.
Who wouldn't want, who wouldn't want their parents to be in their child's life and see them and, imagine if your grandparents lived with you and raised you as well. That's what I want, for my family. And my dad is my why. My dad is like my mom and my dad, and I want him to be beside me every single second of the day. So I will do what I gotta do.
That's beautiful.
That's a real strong reason why.
Yeah.
And that's what we all need. So thank you for sharing that with us, Kat. We have only a few minutes left of our call. Do you want to wrap it up, Savannah?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, it goes back to, I know we didn't get to do everything in this exercise. I think Tiana, you might have done it with us because I remember one of our first calls we did this. But I would give this to you for like homework. If you were kind of at the beginning, we were talking about not knowing what you want. There's an exercise that I think is really great and is also part of this exercise that we're doing right now, which Miana and Sophia did when we first started brainstorming our business. And I got us all to write down words that make you tick. And what I mean by that is if there is a time where, like, let's say you're just brought to tears and you feel overwhelmed with emotion because in a good way, because of an experience that you had. Maybe you can recall that experience and that's why you're writing down that word. Start writing down words that when you say it, it makes you have an emotional response in a good way. And I think once you do that, circle 5 of them that are most important to you. Ones that you like, yes, I'm sure you're gonna love a lot of them. Circle 5 that in the moment, like you cannot live without. Like you see it and you're just like, I need to circle that. Don't think twice about it, just do it. Because that will help you to, and what you'll notice is you'll probably see that the 5 that you select, and even the words that you write down, coincide a lot with what you said you expect from Meekin and what you want from Meekin. And so that can show you that, number one, that you're aligned, but those words will also be a guiding point to maybe experiences that you've had in your life that you felt that emotion. And that will then guide you to, okay, wait, that's what I want. I was on the beach and I felt this. I want experiences that make me feel grounded, that make me feel alive. And then, okay, being by a beach makes me feel alive. One of the things I want is to live by a beach. And so things like that like train of thoughts.
Right, and then it's like, what beach?
Yeah.
Where? When?
Why? It's like a technique that you use is you just keep asking why to go deeper. I want that. Okay, why do I want that? Why? And just keep going and you'll get to the root. They use this in many different like therapy techniques, but I would say do that. And then one other thing I wanted to add is to just write down a strength, something that you love about yourself, something that you know is going to be a real big asset for the business. and how you can help others by this talent, this gift that you have. And the second thing would be write down something that you want to improve on. Maybe you've seen somebody else in the team really reflect this trait. You admire it. Maybe you want to ask them about it. Just start to find ways, because that's also, we all said we want to grow, we want to improve. And those are little things to help us along that path. That's what I would say.
Just to add to that, I just really want to reiterate why this whole, like anytime you start to feel any type of doubt, you might be hitting a wall, maybe you're feeling a little bit stuck, there's no motivation. Why this entire practice is so important when it comes to taking responsibility for your business is because the reason for why you're doing this needs to always outweigh the reason for avoiding it. It must outweigh any form of resistance. Otherwise, things will never get done. Nothing will be created. Nothing will be built if we can't push through the creative avoidance. And how do we do that is to always come back to the why. What is your desire? What is your driving force? And if you don't feel it enough, keep asking why. Keep digging deeper, because you need to get to that moment where you feel like this is for me. This is like, there is nothing that is going to stand in my way of achieving this one thing. That level of burning desire, that is what kicks things into motion. That is what gets you up excited in the morning to do the things you don't want to do, but tell yourself you love it anyways. So keep digging until you feel that. And it might take some time, that's okay. And you're going to have resistance, that's okay too. We can be honest about that. But let's be clear on why we're here in the first place.
And on that note, I think we're going to close it up. Thank you guys so much for coming to our team call. Stay on the line. I'm just going to stop the recording, and we're going to get right into our product experiences call. Thank you guys so much. Have a good night.